Welcome back to Where is the Money? President Donald Trump against the Fed. Now, the Trump administration has been putting quite a bit of pressure on the Federal Reserve to lower them rates. And Powell has consistently resisted that concept. He feels it's not time. But Trump disagrees.
Donald Trump versus the Fed, or should I say Jerome Powell? Who's really running the market? Let's talk about it. Did Donald Trump just force Jerome Powell's hand? Because right now, it looks like the Fed is leaning more towards cutting those interest rates as soon as next month even. And the moment Jerome Powell said it at Jackson Hole, the S&P 500 shot up 1.5%, nearly hitting an all-time high. And the Dow did actually break a record at 45,631, and the market lit up instantly, because Powell hinted that the risk of doing too much might be greater than the risk of doing too little. He said the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance. Behind the scenes, GDP came in strong at 3% for the second quarter. But that number is boosted by tariffs making imports more expensive. That looks good on paper, but Powell's real concern is jobs. Because if tariffs keep pressuring businesses, then hiring is probably going to slow down significantly. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The Fed is leaning towards a 25% rate cut. That may sound small, but instantly borrowing gets cheaper. Home loans, business loans, working capital, all of that all of a sudden becomes more affordable. That's good news for now, but let's not forget about the flip side. When money gets cheaper, people borrow more and they spend more, and then all of a sudden, here comes inflation creeping its head up. So you gotta ask yourself, are these rate cuts good, or are they another setup for another crash? Are we stabilizing the economy, or are we juicing things up, getting ready for another election cycle?
Fed Chair Jerome Powell, arguably counting his last days on the job. His term ends May of next year. President Trump is no fan of Mr. Powell. So what are you watching for in his final major speech as the Fed chair? And are we getting a sense of who will replace him?
Well, I think the question of who replaces him is a bit wide open at the moment. There are several candidates in the running, but it seems like the White House has expanded that process rather than narrowed it down of late. As far as Powell's speech goes, I don't think I think the market is really looking for some sort of indication that a rate cut is definitely coming in September. And certainly, the White House wants that as well. But I think there's a good chance that we don't see that sort of commitment from Powell. He's very likely to want to leave his options open. We saw in the minutes of the last Fed meeting that were released yesterday that there was a pretty widespread concern about what the tariff impact will be on inflation in coming months. So he's probably not going to rule out a quarter point cut because there are concerns about the labor market, but it may be too early for him to forcefully signal that an easing is definitely on the way.
Now, besides putting pressure on Jerome Powell, he's also been putting pressure on Lisa Cook. He apparently just fired her, which is an unprecedented move that hasn't been done in many, many years due to allegations of mortgage fraud.
All right, breaking overnight, in an unprecedented move, President Trump announced he is firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook over allegations of mortgage fraud. This is the first time a president has fired a Fed governor in the central bank's 111-year history. Cook has not been charged with any crime. This has huge implications in politics, law, and the economy. CNN's Matt Egan here to explain it all.
The Fed is supposed to be independent from politics for a good reason, right? Because if presidents called the shots on interest rates, of course they would want low mortgage rates and low credit card rates. But sometimes, as you know, John, you need higher rates to fight inflation. And history shows that when politicians meddle with central banks, it can end badly. Most recently with Turkey's Erdogan. He installed a loyalist to lead that central bank. They had runaway inflation shortly thereafter. So again, there is so much at stake here.
And again, if she's removed and the president gets to appoint a new person, that'd be another 13 years left or so on her term. Politico calls it a vice-like grip President Trump would have on the Fed.
Allegations only, no proof, no trial, but he went ahead and did this. Now, what could be the alternative motive here?
News: Donald Trump fires Lisa Cook, a Federal Reserve governor, and as you know, he's been going after Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve Board. What is going on with this? What is Donald Trump really up to? Well, you know, Donald Trump always has ulterior motives for everything. And we found out not long ago that Donald Trump bought $100 million worth of bonds. What? Yes, there's some financial interest here. Donald Trump bought $100 million worth of bonds in Citicorp, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, Meta, Qualcomm, Home Depot, T-Mobile, United Healthcare, more, and other city and municipalities and state governments. So what's up with that? Well, Donald Trump, as you know, has been pressuring Federal Reserve Board Chairman Powell to reduce interest rates. Well, here's the deal. If interest rates drop, the value of his bonds go way up. What? Donald Trump would make money if the bonds, with his bonds, if the interest rates were to drop. Oh, yes, he would. And not only that, Donald Trump knows the writing is on the wall about the economy. I mean, good news for the economy is harder to find than truth coming out of Ghislaine Maxwell's mouth and those Jeffrey Epstein files. Those are the only two things more difficult than good news on the economy. And Donald Trump is trying to lower interest rates because he knows what's coming and he's worried about 2026. That's also why he's trying to gerrymander and do all these other things. They know it's coming. Why do you think he tried to fire the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Because he doesn't like the jobs numbers, because that's what it is. Companies, corporate America is laying off, and Donald Trump's trying to hide it all and cover it up. That's why he wants her gone, and that's why he wants Reserve Chairman Powell gone, so they can lower interest rates to try to make him look better, not to mention make some money of his own.
So if what this guy's saying is correct, that means if the interest rates go down, it not only benefits the market to an extent, but also benefits Donald Trump. No surprise there. He is slated to make millions of dollars due to his current investment in these other companies because that interest rate went down. So what do you think? Is this bad politics? Is this alternative motive? Is it helping the economy? Is it doing all at the same time and just Trump is able to benefit from that move? You tell me. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.